right, hello you lovelies. It is another hot, really fucking hot, just hot week. Hope you're doing well. Hope you haven't died of heat exhaustion and your ghost is experiencing this fine show. Welcome to KoiCast. I am Koi Jandro, an overheated Bostonian who loves pop culture, comic books, and air conditioning. Hope you've been well. I am joined, as ever, by the great and sometimes cooler, because he lives in a better Central Air apartment, Jake Lloyd Bacon.
Hi, Koi. Hi, listeners. Yeah, it is. It's
fucking stupid out.
It is. We're doing a mini series here. It's called KoiCast Hot Summer Days. We are in the middle of a heat wave.
It's the worst, dude. I've been so angry for like a week.
Well, yeah, the heat is the worst thing in the world. I have said, listen, welcome to Weather Chat. I have said for years I would much rather be cold and live in a place where it's bitter and cold than someplace that's sweltering. Because you can always get closer to a fire or put on more clothing. But when you're uncomfortable, you're just uncomfortable and hot and gross, and it's the worst.
Yeah.
And it's real dangerous here in LA right now.
I feel so badly for all the unhoused people and all the people that don't have like insulated buildings. And like, there's like, I'm complaining and I have a home and I just cannot fucking fathom.
It's absolutely brutal.
I've noticed my Twitter is just rage now. Like I like don't have, like I usually have a little bit of a barrier between like, oh, this person's just like immature, young, or stupid. I don't care anymore. Like and I also had the epiphany that like, if I ignore them, they'll keep doing it. Whereas like public humiliation feels good. So I'm retweeting publicly and just like fucking bringing the incels down as much as possible. That's my AC right now.
So the heat, like when the sun is excessive, it has the opposite effect on you than it would be on Superman. Like Superman,
it's my super heat rage.
He turns into an asshole.
Yeah, exactly, 100%.
Like, with like a little bit of a kryptonite.
And like Hulk, when the sun's getting real low, I calm down a little bit. Sun's getting real low, big guy. So yeah, I'm just hulking by day and fucking watching shit by night as best I can.
Yeah, we have fully embraced the cave lifestyle here at the Dragon's Den. No sunshine allowed through the windows. We're gonna conserve every drop of AC as possible.
Yeah, like, it's really nice in here.
It is. Yeah, we're embracing the cave.
I have a standing AC unit that just like,
yeah, that's
you know
tough.
what I mean. I have a cat, so me
tough.
and Spidey just lay on the floor in front of the AC.
Oh,
like, that's like,
yeah, no,
life.
that is something I don't miss about the old Dragon's Den. And here's the thing: is that air conditioning worked fantastic because it was one of those ones from like the 70s.
Yeah.
So it did not care about being energy efficient.
Just fucking went.
It just went hard.
Mine's
all
like
day.
2015, so it's got all those regulations, which I'm like, you know what? Planet's better for it.
Yes.
Which the planet is why we're in this month.
Of
so
course.
like.
It's
long
a circle.
term,
it's a circle for sure.
Long term, our kids are going to be better for it, but I'm not.
Dragon's Den 2.0 having that central AC, baby.
I hope people are enjoying AC news here on KoiCast. Yeah, so it's been. Oops, sorry.
I was gonna say I'm like shit. I forgot the demon's name. Jason Lee's character from Dogma. That's me.
Hell hath no fury.
Yes, that's me.
That said, because of that, we'll get to it later. Since I've been laying in front of the AC, I have read 4 weeks of comic books because that's one of the few things I can do in front of the AC.
Guacamole. So you're gonna have a lot of comic recommendations.
Yeah, I'm literally 4 issues from being caught up. So I tried to read, and I was like, I don't want to be late to do the show by 4 issues, but I'm reading the last 4 issues of August 31st. We record this on the 5th, so I'll be on this week's comics by Wednesday, which feels amazing.
That's amazing.
So I've read about not 300, I think like 220 comics.
So that's a lot to come later then.
Yes.
And that's not all.
Because
this week we are crowning our September Unpunchable Gift Horse of the Month. So stay tuned to find out if it's you.
And not to be biased, it is my favorite month of the year. So
to be biased then.
I mean, to be directly biased, to own my bias. Well, it doesn't mean person.
You can't say not to be biased, but this thing is my favorite. That's the definition of bias.
True. Okay, well, the person doesn't become my instant favorite, but let you know the stakes are higher. So just so you know, dear listener, it could be you. My favorite month. All right, let's get into some news. My favorite news of the week is that Top Gun is now the 5th highest grossing domestic film of all time ever in the history of cinema. I don't know if you guys know this, but I love Top Gun Maverick more than most things. It is now the number 5 fucking domestic ever, and it passed $701 million, and it's also the number 1, the only film to be number 1 at the start of summer, Memorial Day, and number 1 on Labor Day. 15 weeks, most of which have been at number 1.
That's a feat for sure.
What a staggering! Like 15 weeks is like a third of the year.
Literally, yeah, it's very
insane. So I'm really proud of it. That movie's doing very, very well. It is also the 12th global release at 1.44 billion. Frozen is number 11 at 1.45 billion. I think it's going to pass Frozen.
Frozen.
It's coming for Frozen. It's coming in a hurry.
Just wait till Frozen 3 when all of a sudden Elsa's flying a jet.
God damn, man. I hope Elsa just lets it go so we can all just enjoy this Top Gun journey. So yeah, the fact that it's broken all those records makes me happy. I love that Tom Cruise said he had to save cinema, and then he's just doing it. Did you see that CinemaCon footage?
Oh my God.
See you at the movies.
It's so absurd. And the fact that wasn't even like for public release.
That was just what he did for CinemaCon. Because he loves movies.
That was insane.
Like, truly, what a choice that came out months ago and we didn't experience it. Like, it was quiet.
By the way, we should context it.
Sorry.
If you don't know what we're talking about, this video was, could you say leak? I suppose it's a leak.
Yeah,
I
guess
know.
It's a leak.
Technically, it was this exclusive footage that Cruise & Co. did for CinemaCon, in which it starts up in a close-up and it looks like maybe Tom Cruise is just like sitting on an airplane, right? And as you pull out, you realize he is sitting on an airplane, but it's flying through the sky. And he's literally like, it's one of those little like biplane style where it's a double wing and it's just an open seater. So there's like the pilot who's in the back seat, and then there's a second seat in front.
And he's sitting outside that second seat on a wing.
Standing on that seat, leaning up against the wind, casual, like he just like you pulled up at the drive-through and like opened your door and you were just like, "Hey, ladies, like,
how you doing? I'm Tom Cruise."
And the entire time he's delivering this message through, his headset mic that's like clicking because he's literally flying
no
through
hesitation,
the air.
like well dictated.
Oh, he's as cool as a cucumber.
And then Chris McQuarrie, director of so many great Tom Cruise movies, flies up.
Yep.
And talks about a great joke of like, "Hey, sorry, we got to get back to work. We got to film a shot."
Yep.
And then
in a separate plane.
And then it banks like full 90 degrees left.
And he's still standing vertical.
And he just goes, "See you at the movies." And it dips away. And then you see they're thousands of feet up.
It's absurd and hilarious.
It's Tom Cruise.
And quite frankly, Scientology needs to be stopped.
I wish that there was no asterisk on him, because I want to more publicly be like, this man is the best, but I can't.
I get it. It's
really a struggle.
He is the hardest person
to be mad at,
to continually realize could save thousands of lives.
It's a real struggle. It's like a Mel Gibson. I've like forfeit. I've accepted that.
You've given up.
You know what I mean? I can only condone so much, and like the voicemails and all the things. But like Tom Cruise, my brain doesn't accept it. Like I can't get to the forfeit point. I walk by the Scientology building every day and I go like, but I don't go, Tom Cruise. They're separate.
Right.
And that hurts me because I see this footage and I want to sing from rooftops.
It's, and I don't.
He also is Hal Jordan.
I don't know what, every now and then it comes through or it comes about and resurfaces. I'm not sure why, but the motion smoothing video that they shot earlier,
my God, the best.
Earlier in the year, that resurfaced again and that's been going around.
They're actually saving cinema.
He's putting in work. Like he's putting in real honest work. It's a shame.
Out there saving the movies. I love him so much. On the TV side of things, Lord of the Rings debuted this week, the Rings of Power, with the biggest ever Amazon debut at 15 million viewers. Now, to put that in context, the finale of Game of Thrones was just over 10 million viewers. So and the debut...
that was on television.
Yes.
And so this is
huge.
This is a thing that people have to, because it's not available for free.
Just Amazon Prime.
So you have to be a Prime subscriber in order to even see this thing.
And that's also impressive about House the Dragon, is House the Dragon's debut was 9.9 million.
15 million?
Yes, for Rings of Power.
Is how many people watched it. Hang on. How much is Amazon Prime?
Oh, that's a good question. I think it's $10.
No. Amazon Prime, it's like an annual, isn't it like $70 a year?
I don't know.
I think it's an annual fee. I think it's like $70 to $80
IMDb,
a year.
Where it's just a year. I don't know.
Well, IMDb is owned by Amazon now.
Oh, there you go. Look at that.
But let's see. Hang on.
They should bundle that shit for us entertainment.
Amazon Prime cost. I'm just curious here. Amazon Prime. Oh, they do. All right. I have been a Prime.
Okay, because I thought I got charged
for so long
monthly
that it is $14 a month. I guess we used to pay it a year.
So $14 a month times.
So let's see. So I'm just going to do 15 million. Okay, times 14. So that right there is $210 million.
That month.
For just episode 1. If you don't count, the people who subscribe not for this.
Right.
You know
if you're looking at just that money, but it cost $1 billion.
$210 million for episode 1.
Yes.
And it cost $1 billion to make, you said? So
it's the most expensive show of all time to my knowledge.
So
in 5 months.
So no, this is the reality though, is how many people tune in for episode 2?
Right.
And if so, if there's a fall off, will this actually be a huge thing for them marketing wise, but not financially?
It's going to be really interesting because nothing's ever cost this much,
Right.
and they'll never release a drop off. The only reason they released the debut is it did so well.
Nobody says like, everybody check this out. People stopped watching our thing.
Exactly. Look how good episode 3 did comparatively to nothing. But like that said, I think it was because of how well Game of Thrones did. So the comparison is Game of Thrones ended. The finale was about 10 million. The House of the Dragon's debut was 9.9 million, which the debut of a new show was almost as big as finale, which is unprecedented. And then episode 2 of House of the Dragon, 10.1. It actually went up from 1 to 2, which does not happen. So, but still, then Amazon came out and was like, motherfucker. Like Amazon then came out and was like, we got 15. So it's a really interesting time in like fantasy, high budget, high concept.
That's great.
Blockbuster.
I love Lord of the Rings. I'm one of the few people who love the Hobbit trilogy as well.
You're one of you might be the only person I know that loves it to your level, and it makes me happy every time.
And honestly, like there's so much. We talked about this a couple weeks ago with Burnout. Like I haven't even had an inkling to watch this show. Like of all of the things out there, we're so far behind on other things that we watch that we've started.
Sure.
That we want. Like there's just so many things that I don't know when I'm ever going to watch this show, and I'm ever going to have the time to watch a show, and I want to. I mean, it's Lord of the Rings. It's the the greatest.
I haven't started Sandman
fantasy
still.
saga. Same,
and that's like Sandman.
I know it's fucking. That's like such a.
You tell 10 years ago me, not even 15.
It's such
10 years ago.
It's such a comic book nerds thing. They will never make a Sandman TV show.
Right.
It'll never happen.
And Neil Gaiman will never approve, and people won't like it.
You have just as much possibility of there being a Watchmen movie
or a Watchmen show that isn't from Alan Moore's comic.
Yeah. I mean, like, we live in a crazy timeline,
and there's no time. There's no time in this timeline.
No, there's a timeless line.
Timeless line coming soon.
Oh man,
what's that Paul Walker movie?
If we named our episodes
Timeless Line.
Wait, what was the Paul Walker movie? Out of Time? No, that was what's his face. Wasn't that JT?
Yeah.
JT
that was In Time. The one where they have that little thing in the wrist. No, what was the one? There's a time travel movie with Paul Walker, I think.
Paul Walker.
Maybe I'm thinking of another handsome guy.
Paul Walker, another handsome guy. I wasn't in a time
travel movie.
Paul Walker.
Oh, I'm thinking of Gerard Butler. What was the Gerard Butler time travel movie?
Wait, now you're all over the place.
I think it's Gerard Butler.
First off, how do you confuse Paul Walker and Gerard Butler?
That's a good question. That's a fair question.
All right, I found the movie here. I found the Paul Walker movie you're talking about.
Oh, it is. Okay,
it's called Pawn Shop Chronicles.
Yeah, love that movie.
Was it called Hours?
No, I've seen that.
Because that sounds like it could be about time.
It could be a time travel movie.
Every second counts. A father struggles to keep it. Nope, that's a Hurricane Katrina story. That sounds really sad. Never mind. Wait a minute. He was in Pleasantville?
Yeah, very briefly. Very handsome.
I don't see anything. Oh, is it called Timeline?
Oh, shit. Yes, and it stars Gerard Butler and Paul Walker. I feel so much vindication right now. Literally, it's both of them. Oh, I was so worried that my brain just
and the late great Billy Connolly,
dude.
Well, now I want to watch this movie.
Because we said Timeline, and my brain was like, wait a second.
It's called Timeline.
Yeah, and
a group of archaeologists become trapped in the past when they go there to retrieve a friend. The group must survive 14th century France before they can escape back to 21st century.
It is such a fun 2000s movie, dude. David Thewlis is in it too.
It's based on a Michael Crichton novel.
It is a blast. I'm so happy they're both in it, and I didn't just have a mental break.
It looks like we're watching Timeline.
On the watch list.
In a couple of weeks, we're going to have Timeline in the POP.
Timeless Line, you guys. Gerard Butler, Paul Walker, cinema.
I was in
high school.
By the way, I know we try not to speak too ill of the dead here, but Paul Walker, terrible actor.
I love him so much.
The worst. I still want to watch this movie because it seems so absurd. I bet you, him in this context,
perfect.
I can't even imagine it. Him just being like, I guess we're like in a different time, I guess. Crazy. Yo, look, it's like not even America. It's
Pockets ain't empty, cuz.
It's like France or something. I don't even know what this language is.
I love Paul Walker.
Guys, I feel like this isn't the right timeline.
Looks at camera, looks at Gerard Butler just past camera. You're not ready.
Puts on his head.
This is also in Reign of Fire era Gerard Butler.
This also has, what's her face in it? Mrs. What's his face?
Mrs. What's his face?
Isn't that Krasinski's wife?
Oh, Emily Blunt's in it.
Isn't that her? I don't see her name on the list though, but that totally looks like
that might be Anna Friel. I don't know.
Oh no, maybe it's Frances O'Connor and they just look alike. Oh wait, maybe it is Anna Friel.
I can't. You know what? You know what matters? 13% Rotten Tomatoes score.
Oh,
That's what matters.
I can't wait to watch this movie.
So glad.
Oh my god, I don't know who that is, but that totally
in that shot, 100%. You can't see it because this is a podcast, but that looks just like Emily Blunt.
I'm looking at the picture that comes up on Letterboxd.
There's a single frame
above the poster.
Single frame of Emily Blunt.
Yeah, go look at timeline on Letterboxd. Don't look at the poster, but look at the picture above the poster and tell me that isn't Emily Blunt.
Yep. But before we leave the...
By the way, this film is already in my watch list.
Oh, good. I'm so glad the Gerard Butler, Paul Walker film is already in my watch list.
Now I'm moving it up.
You have an in order?
I have a watch list, and then I have the
a list you made.
The on deck, and then I have the priority.
Got it. See, I just go to watch list, then I do like streaming now, and I go through the streaming now option.
What I do is I have a separate list that I make. Boom.
I wish someone from Letterboxd knew just how much we love them, because we talk about them more than most things. It really is art. That's like, I use that social media almost as much as Twitter. I love Letterboxd so much.
Wait a minute.
What do you got?
I know why this is on my timeline. I didn't mean that. I don't know. I know what I reread the title. I know why this is on my list.
Oh,
because it's one of the only Richard Donner movies I've never seen. This is a Richard Donner movie.
That's why I'd seen it, because I watched. I
must have added this when he passed away, and I went like, I want to finish his filmography.
Oh, that's great.
But also, Richard Donner, and it's this poorly rated. That's unfortunate.
Yeah,
they can't all be Lady Hawks.
I mean, 03 was. I mean, he was in his 60s. I'm imagining.
Maybe younger than that. Maybe, I don't know. He was an old gentleman.
Lethal Weapon was 87. I mean, that's sure, a bit before.
But even if he was,
30,
you think he might have
50?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. He's a great guy. We like Dick Donner. All right, and while we're still on
not enough to watch his Superman movies, apparently.
You know what? I'm actually doing that for a show the next 2 weeks. I'm going to watch Superman for the first time.
Gilbert's going to be so excited.
The people are ready.
I can't wait.
And then I might watch the cut, his cut for the second one.
I have them on Blu-ray if you like. If you don't have access to them.
Okay. Yeah, I need to watch the proper.
Yeah, definitely. It's an interesting. I don't know. A part of me wants you to not watch the second one, the theatrical one. A part of me wants you just to watch the Donner cut first,
and then compare the lesser.
Or just never watch the second one.
I don't have a lot of time,
because the reality is that if you just watch the second one, it's going to be a non-rewarding experience. But if you watch the Donner cut, you're going to be like, well, shit, this is actually pretty great.
Maybe I'll just do that.
Also, if you watch the Donner cut and then watch the documentary on the Blu-ray I have about the making of the Donner cut, they will tell you everything that was shitty.
And I'll be able to skip the.
Yeah, I don't know. That's my 2 cents.
Respect. I get that.
Anyways, good job, Top Gun.
Yeah, Top Gun. While we're still on the giant viewership, I have actually started House of the Dragon. I am not, and this is going to be upsetting to some, not a big Game of Thrones guy. Enjoying the fuck out of House of the Dragon, though.
Did you not see Game of Thrones?
I watched the first season, the Red Wedding, the battle on the other side of the wall.
None of this stuff makes sense to me because I did not see a single episode.
I've seen first season, 3 episodes in the middle last season.
Got it.
Because I kept trying. I kept trying to engage. Such a pop culture phenomenon.
Yeah.
I just really don't like cynical or shows that feel like hate. Like, it's got a very aggressive, fuck you.
It seems like
just angry.
A dark show. Yeah.
Just angry. And I like angry when it has merit. Like, I love David Fincher.
I mean,
anger always
like angry when it has merit. Yeah, we've seen your Twitter.
Yeah, that's got merit, motherfuckers. Come at me.
You have dropped so many F-bombs this episode.
I've been angry this week, man. It's hot.
You sound like a Long Islander.
It is so fucking hot, dude. That said,
now you know what that Long Island humidity does to our
just breaks
our
your
brain cells.
We've only got so many words, and they're all 4 letters.
We say the word fucking in place of the word when we're thinking.
I respect that.
What's that fucking fucking down the road? Fucking McDonald's.
Boston too, but it's fucking. We have the same ums. Sure. We just go a little north, and it changes to an ah. That said, I am enjoying House of the Dragon quite a bit because the first episode I wasn't in love with, but the second one I binged the 2 to see if it was going to be for me.
Is it like prequel or something like that? Like,
super prequel, hundreds of years.
Oh, okay.
But I'm enjoying. It feels less malicious and more like the chess game that I did like about Game of Thrones. Like the idea of someone taking over the throne and all these families and all that.
Yeah, the thing that we love about fantasy, which is like
that was interesting.
Sword and sandals and kings and dragons. 100%. Yeah.
This does that, I think, in a less hateful way. It feels more like a chess game than it does like you like this character, let's kill them. And I got that a lot out of Game of Thrones. I mean, it's early days, but so far,
so you feel like Game of Thrones was out to get you.
100%. I just felt like it was mad at its audience, or like the writer or George R.R. Martin, who hasn't finished the books, was clearly mad at the audience.
Right.
So I'm enjoying it quite a bit. Also, Matt Smith is always a delight. So I've been really enjoying seeing Matt Smith in this.
It's weird to me that you're like, yeah, I'm just going to dive in, and I haven't seen all of Game of Thrones.
But it's prequel, so it seems. I mean, I'm sure there's references I don't get. I'm sure there's Easter eggs where I'm like, oh, I'm not Leo pointing, but I'm enjoying the show. So yeah, I'd recommend House of the Dragon, even if you aren't a Game of Thrones fan, and I can vouch for that. In the world of Emmys as well, we've got a bit of Emmy news. Two things that made me really happy. I'm not going to read you guys all the Emmy wins because you can just read that online, but I will say Chadwick Boseman getting a posthumous Emmy for What If really warmed my heart, because I as much as What If wasn't my favorite of the MCU shows.
Oh, you did it. You called it the MCU.
I did.
See, you proved their point.
I'm part of it, you guys. I actually have burner accounts where I'm a troll. I do feel like Chadwick Boseman's performance was a highlight in that Star-Lord take was so fascinating. That would have been a better show for me.
I mean, I love it because he was an incredible person and did incredible work and deserves every accolade possible. Mm-hmm. It does feel this was a like, well, let's give this to. And
I just couldn't believe it was so many years later. It feels like.
Right. But also it like that the show, I loved it more than you did. None of those performances were Emmy worthy.
I thought legitimately his was because it was a different take on two characters.
Sure, but it's also like it felt such short format. Short form.
I see what you're saying.
You know what I mean? Like it wasn't even like the whole series was
right. But he was in 2, 3 episodes. 2,
anyway. Maybe. Yeah, but you get what I'm saying.
I see what you're
saying.
Again,
I know this sounds like I'm being cynical. Like I don't think he should have won. I mean, give him everything.
Sure.
But it does feel like one of those. It reminds me of Jack Palance in City Slickers. It's like did he deserve the Oscar for that performance? Probably not. But did he deserve
an Oscar?
20 other Oscars before that? Yeah, probably.
That's fair. He did he was the one-arm push-ups Oscar win, right?
Yes.
I fucking love that. That's like such a highlight
because he wasn't because the movie he did not get cast in. Didn't think he was young enough to do.
Oh, that's amazing! I never knew that detail.
Yeah, there was some sort of like, and I could be wrong, but it was like a movie that he was either fired from or that he was like in talks to, then went and did this instead. And they're like, oh, well, if he's going to be doing that, then he's like the old guy. We can't cast him as the hero if he's going to be the old guy in another thing. And yeah, it was just a crazy story.
That is badass.
I'm butchering the finer details of it, but listen to the episode.
Oomph is there.
Go back and find the episode where I told that story.
I love the story.
I had more details. It was right after my birthday because it was right after I watched City Slickers for my birthday.
Oh,
so it was probably in March or April of this past year.
It's a great tradition. I like that. That said, an Emmy that I do think, without caveat, should have won and did. Chip and Dale won Outstanding Television Movie.
That's
an Emmy-winning film, which means more eyeballs will be on it.
That's great.
We both love that one.
It's absurd that it exists. It's again, the biggest applause goes to the lawyers of these companies for being like, yeah, it's fine.
I told you that's what the director said. Like that's the first thing he said out the gate at the premiere. And I was like, and then I watched it. I was like, whoa.
I can't believe that they let that happen. And I'm so glad that we are, I feel like we're growing up.
Yeah.
It's like things aren't so precious.
And we can have that hopefully as Marvel develops. Personally, I would like a little bit of maturation in that direction.
Sure.
And this was a good sign for me because it was Disney.
Yeah.
Like that happening at Disney gives me a lot of hope that when Deadpool happens, he's not neutered. Because that was a beautiful, hey, we're aware of the irreverence that is needed.
Right. Also, there's a wide variety of audiences.
Right.
And when we were making, noir stuff that was maybe not necessarily age appropriate, but just because the people who were watching it were kids when that was popular, that is just the new norm now. Like stuff like Chippendales, the stuff that like 30, 40, 50-year-olds are now going to enjoy is going to be stuff that's more, it's going to feel more recent in the zeitgeist.
Right.
Because like the 80s cartoons that we grew up in, we're still like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles can be whatever it wants to be because it could be a kid show. It could be a fucking dense adult show. It could be a ridiculous comedy. Like it doesn't matter because the audience is going to be so wide.
And Chip and Dale I thought was clever because it's not as big at the cultural zeitgeist.
No.
So it can be the audience that would have watched it then.
Right. Absolutely.
I thought that was a really clever use of them because I don't know if I would have seen a kid. I don't know if Coy at 30, turning 34 would have wanted a kids Chippendale, but I was very happy to get an adults Chippendale.
I mean, there's a tons of stuff. I mean, like with the exception of the aforementioned Teenage Mutant Turtles when when the new show started a few years back. I think I watched that first season and I went like, this is really good. Like I legitimately enjoyed it. There was some good storytelling there. There was some dark moments with like people dying, and I was like, oh wow, this is pretty mature for a kid show, but it was still clearly a kid show.
Right.
I did not keep watching it. It wasn't good enough to like hold my attention in that way. And like, yeah, if Chip and Dale's like, oh, we're making a new kids,
I'd be like, great, I'm happy for them. But I wouldn't have been at the premiere cheering and been like talking about it now. I wouldn't have even made the list of like, ooh, an Emmy.
Also wouldn't have been an Emmy, yeah, exactly.
Right. So yeah, I think that was exactly the move. In the world of comic books, because I rarely get to bring the movie and comic world together in this way, James Gunn was also a fan of a comic book that I praised almost every single month while it was coming out. That Stranger Adventures book. Remember, I was talking about that like a year ago.
Yeah, it's been on my my shopping.
It was cool to see
forever, but I still haven't gotten to it yet.
Because I feel like even the directors in DC and Marvel don't praise the comics enough. And I know James Gunn's a nerd, but it was really cool to see a retweet with a comic and like, this is what we need. Also,
I haven't seen that. So is that the collected version now? So
the whole thing is
officially now in Jake format.
It is in your reading material list. Yeah. Is how you can read it.
Because I don't have to like get a floppy. Because I saw that tweet that he did and I didn't recognize that cover.
Yeah, that's the 12. It's all.
And then I went, oh, that looks like the thing. And I was like, oh, now I can.
Now it's a collection.
Yeah, now I want it.
Also, Deadly Class ends next month. The whole series.
Wow.
And
how many issues was that?
56.
Okay.
I think it's either 56, 57.
Right.
But I have the first 2 mega volumes, thanks to the great Robin West Parker. And the third one is now out, which means I think they'll rush the fourth probably like 3 months after the. Like, I think it'll be faster because they want to catch the momentum. So if you have any interest in Deadly Class, that's another.
I would still end up getting those in trade because I see my.
You like the
too big is too big. Like the ones that you have are too big.
Well, it's not quite the size of Saga. It's definitely not the big Saga.
Right.
But I think if it's going to be divided by 4, 56 divided by 4 is what, like 13 issues? That's not crazy.
Probably not too bad.
But it's just they're oversized and hardcover, which I dig.
Yeah, that's not too bad because I think like my favorite sizes other than the trades are like those X-Men, Ultimate X-Men's I have.
Yeah.
Which are each of them are 2 trades.
It's about
so
that.
it's probably that. That's probably great.
And that's what I like. I like when it's 2 arcs.
Right.
And I personally, on my bookshelf, I prefer hardcover because if it's a floppy trade, I'd rather just get comics. To me.
Oh, really?
Like I'm either floppy or hardcover. I don't know why, but I want to collect or I want it as a fucking book.
See, the problem is I think, I don't know. I just think if it's a floppy, then you can't display it. It's got to
like
go
an individual
in a box.
issue.
Yeah,
you can display it. They make mounts and everything.
No. I meant like in a bookshelf.
Oh, you won't see it.
Yeah.
It'll be a whiteboard.
Yeah, you don't. There's no spine.
Yeah,
and a trade has enough of a spine where you throw it on a shelf and you put enough of them together.
But it's funny how some trades literally look like a floppy because it's like 4 issues.
Depending,
and you're like, So to me, the book format makes it at least all.
I remember. Was it? I think it might have been the Spawn Batman crossovers. Where an Image did one and DC did one. And I was so upset that they weren't smart enough to put them both in one book.
Yeah.
But of course they weren't going to.
Because licensing, I can't imagine.
But they're the collection of whatever the issues were. But the trade was so paper thin itself.
It's a comic.
That when you can't see it when it's on the shelf. You can barely make out the spine. And still, it's on my shelf. And I bet you if I told you to go look for it, you'd have to go scroll through the thing like 3 times.
Yeah.
And you would miss it. Because
that negates the whole perk.
Yeah.
But I like a good hardcover Ultimate Edition. I'm glad they're starting to do them slightly bigger so you can see the art differently.
The oversized side. Yeah.
Because then that gives you as a reader that's already read the floppies.
Like the Immortal Hulk is like that size, where it's like a little bit larger top to bottom.
And it's not quite
also your Mr. Miracle book that you have is the same
It's slightly
way.
bigger, yeah. And it's also, but it's not quite and I love the art, what are the artist editions, where it's the size they fucking drew it in, but it's hard to store it.
Yeah, what are you gonna do with that?
Like, there's no bookshelf.
No.
But it's cool to flip through.
I suppose you could just like put glass over it and make it a table.
Yeah. Or it can be your permanent coffee table book. That's the one that lives in your whole ass table.
Right.
That said, when I'm at a comic store, it's the first thing I pick up. It's also the last thing I buy. So I'm glad they exist because I love looking at the art, but I can't.
Yeah. The oversized, there was a huge fad in like the late 90s, early 2000s, the oversized. And I was just like, who is buying these things?
It makes you appreciate what the artist has to do, and you look at different details.
I suppose.
I don't know who's buying them, but I know I appreciate them. Yeah. I just don't know what to do after I go, ooh.
Right.
It's like when you go to like a really expensive clothing store where you're like, that is a jacket I'd never wear outside. That is a comic I'd love to acknowledge.
You're right. That is how much that costs.
Sure is nice. So I really am excited about all these things coming out in extended and mega editions, and James Gunn praising it means it'll get more eyeballs on it. And if you guys don't know, the reason I liked doing what I did with celebrity interviews is if you sneak in a comic, that changes the sales in that comic immediately. So I think what one of the only perks of celebrity is raising awareness for causes. I personally like when celebrities endorse things, whether it be political or a thing or not Scientology, but anything that benefits man. I do love when I think Berserker is a great example, and that's super selfish of me, but that book made it to Hall H because Keanu wasn't just a creator on it, he was invested throughout its run. That man actually worked on each issue, so you could feel that on stage.
There's also just something about somebody who has a platform using it for indie things that aren't. We talked about this with
the bands.
Yeah, or also we talked about when Sam Rockwell was on a late night or was on Seth Meyers, and the first thing he said was, "Hey, I just saw Everything Everywhere All at Once. The movie was great, wasn't it?" And it was just
talked about that,
and it was just unrelated to anything he was promoting. It was just like that's what we need. We need people.
Yeah,
and that tweet is a perfect example of I love it when somebody who has a following for something super mainstream can be like, hey, here's this thing that you might not know exists.
I also love long form interviews for that reason, because you don't get those moments in the 4-minute sound bites. And that's what's special about, the age we're living in is getting terrifyingly short form, but those moments that come out.
You're part of that problem.
I'm trying not to be, man. I wish that studios didn't look at TikTok, and I'm starting to really not know what to do about it's exactly conflicting between what I want to do for a living and what I have to do for a job.
Oh, I get it.
Career versus job at this point is exactly fighting, and it's driving me insane, which is partly why I've been so angry on Twitter. Because Twitter is irrelevant to people, so I can be the asshole that I want to be, because studios are looking at it less.
Sure.
It's fucking maddening.
Right.
That said, let's move on away from my fucking hate on Twitter. My exact opposite of all of this, an indie that my most anticipated movie for the rest of the year is an indie, a tiny little movie, and it just debuted at Telluride. Banshees of Inisherin just got a 15-minute standing ovation. It has been regarded as Martin McDonagh's best film. I'm losing my fucking mind with excitement. This was my number 2 most anticipated movie of the year after The Batman. The Batman ended up being my number 3 movie of the year, so I'm hoping that I swing here and I get another top 10 movie.
Can we just take a moment to acknowledge the first 2 years of this program? How you talked about this is gonna be the best movie that's ever made. It's the most anticipated movie.
It's my number 3 of the year. That's not bad.
It's not even number 1. You spent years
because I didn't know how good Everything Everywhere All at Once would be, and I thought Top Gun would be garbage because I love the first one too. That is an impressive thing if you're most anticipated ended your number 3.
All right, listen. All I'm saying is
the 2 in front of it are lifetime changing films. One of them just passed Black Panther at the all-time domestic box office.
If one more movie comes out that's good, it's not even gonna make it. It's not even gonna get a bronze medal. Batman's not even gonna place. It's not even gonna place.
The fact that a 10th Batman interpretation places is impressive.
What is the
Banshees of Inisherin?
The Banshees. Can you spell that slowly?
Banshees
and then
what? Of Inisherin, I believe.
Banshees of Inisherin. Interesting.
So this is Martin McDonagh teaming back up with not just Colin Farrell and Brendan Gleeson, but also Barry Keoghan's in it.
Oh.
So it's all my favorite Irishmen.
Yeah.
So this is coming out from Disney by way of an indie studio. Listeners at home, spoiler alert, this is the movie I'm going to be fighting tooth and nail to do press on. Because this is I need to raise awareness for this movie. This is my Sam Rockwell on the talk show. Because this is like $1 million movie filmed in Ireland.
Yeah.
And this is my, holy crap, I want to put all of my
Budussi
into this.
This is Searchlight. They did Nomadland, which I have not seen, but I know is exceptional. And then one of my favorite movies of all time, Birdman, which came out years ago. And this is just seeing the flash of it. That's who's. I'm like, I don't even know. I don't even need to read the synopsis. I don't even care what this movie's about. I'm like, I'll go see it. I'll interested.
I before I knew what it was about, it was my number 2 of the year because of the cast and the director, much like your experience.
Yeah.
And what I'm hearing is it's all of the best of his witty writing choices in a film because he was able to do whatever he wanted post 3 Billboards. I don't love 3 Billboards.
I heard very mixed reviews. I never saw it, but I heard it was very mixed reviews.
It's not to me, In Bruges is so perfect. It was kind of a bummer that a mainstream film got the love it did because I feel like it was his. It was his Aladdin, but I like it way better than Aladdin. It was like Guy Ritchie changed his style to get that big exposure. But for me, I was like, I don't know, do you put Sam Rockwell in a movie that I don't love? And I felt sad twice.
Got it.
Because it was a cast I loved and it was a director I loved and the movie was fine, but it had all the exceptional ingredients.
It's the thing of this one was clearly a studio put together. This is as a boy band version of a movie.
Yeah.
Where we went, all right, the studio's going to take this person, put them with this person, put them with this person. How can it lose?
Yeah, and I feel like it got that reception because it won hella awards.
Right.
This to me feels like the return to form $1 million Irish film.
Right.
So this is my big the rest of the year movie. And so it got a 15-minute standing ovation. Wow. It's being regarded as the best film of his career so far, which is saying a lot considering 3 Billboards got nominated for Best Picture, if I remember correctly. So if they're saying this, that's really exciting.
When is this supposed to be released?
It's this October.
Oh, so it's next month.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So I'm twitching excited.
Soon.
So yeah, that's basically all the news. It's leading up to D23. I guess the only news this week out of Discovery Warner Brothers is that we're officially not getting a DC fandom.
Yeah.
Not too surprising considering I think it would just be them canceling shit.
Everything is so up in the air.
And also, what would they say?
Did you see this Black Adam poster thing?
Unfortunately.
I mean,
I usually don't talk negatively, so I didn't make the rundown.
Listen, this isn't like, is it quote negatively? I don't.
Is there anything
by the way,
to say about the poster?
You're like, I don't talk negatively. You have been so angry this entire episode. You've been so negative.
I've been angry about people, not art. I don't talk angry about art. That's fair. I'd said anything negatively about art, just about fuckers.
Well, if you haven't seen it, they released a poster for Black Adam where they I'll try to explain this best I can as a graphic designer. It's quite clear that the layers were out of order. So if you imagine a picture that obviously a movie poster is obviously it's all done in something like Photoshop.
Sure.
And imagine like there are some things that are in the front and some things that are in the back. Imagine the poster as a 3D space. Those are what layers are. And it's quite clear that whoever it is that's on the left, I can't remember, who is it? Is it Hawkman? No.
Hawkman's front and center.
Oh, so it's all right. So it's somebody who's supposed to be behind Hawkman.
Yeah.
But it's clear that the layer was left in front, right? On the foreground. And so there's just this jagged edge where it was clearly like, digitally erased. And it's like the official poster.
And it looks like the Robin Hood era. I mean, not Robin Hood, Batman and Robin era.
Oh, yeah.
Like it looks like a VHS from that time.
It's so, there are so many things wrong. I'm trying to find like the official, where is it? Yeah, I don't know, but it's like, it's essentially like, every, typical like, oh, Black Adam is in the back and then this person's in the front, this person's in the corner.
But it's like worse than a floating head poster.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just as bad. I don't want to say it's worse.
I don't know. The Photoshop, like it feels like
I'm struggling to find it now as I'm searching.
I'm wondering if they like took it down. I'm not seeing it.
Well, yeah, but you would still see
people that talked about it.
Yeah, when I just wrote Black Adam. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, we found it. So it's that one with like the lightning coming off of his chest. You know what? What it looks like? It looks like a parody superhero.
Oh my god! It looks like something in The Boys. It looks like that's on a bus in The Boys.
Yep. This looks like, it looks like one of those like, this isn't based on an IP. We made our own
superhero thing that's out.
Sure.
Right
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Guardian. Like, what's it? Yeah. What's that movie?
It's
Safe House,
like
not
that.
Safe House. Hideout. Secret Hideout. Secret
Headquarters? No.
Secret Headquarters. Yeah, I think it's called Secret Headquarters. Yeah.
Woo!
Oh boy, that movie looks real funny. But anyways, there it is. I don't even know.
It kind of looks like a McDonald's.
Who's that character?
Adam Smasher.
Adam Smasher. There we go. Oh my God, how funny is this? Do you remember that we'd once had a whole thing about trying to figure out who Adam Smasher was?
Yeah.
Here we are. I literally see a picture of him and I still don't know who he is.
Adam Smasher.
But yeah. Oh my God.
It looks like a McDonald's, like they're selling toys.
And he's in front of his arm. Now you could see where if this layer was behind, what's cut off here wouldn't matter.
Right.
It would look normal.
Yeah.
Oh
and what sucks is like I'm so excited for Aldous Hodge as Hawkman, and that makes it look bad. Like what sucks is I'm excited for all the pieces.
It's also the photo. It's a shitty photo.
Yeah.
Like the lighting is really aggressive on the photo and not in a dramatic way.
His eyes don't work for that lighting choice. Like it looks like a B-roll. Like it looks like they just grabbed a shot of Aldous.
It looks like a camera test.
You're right.
Yep.
And it's like they just grabbed what they had on set or on the what backdrop they were on that day.
Yeah.
It's not great.
It's a rough one.
And between this and what's it called? Don't Be Worried, My Darling. Don't what's the Harry Styles movie that Olivia Wilde directed?
Oh, I'm not familiar.
So it's coming out in the fall, and I'm really excited for it. I just can't remember the name of it. Apologies to all the Harry Styles fans.
I'll look it up. Harry Styles and Olivia who?
Olivia Wilde's directing it. It's the follow-up.
I'm joking.
Oh, I didn't.
Olivia Wilde. It's called Don't Worry, Darling.
So Don't Worry, Darling has had a nothing but dramatic week. It's had a Twitter week like I had, where basically Olivia Wilde, Shia LaBeouf left the project. Olivia Wilde said she fired Shia LaBeouf. Shia LaBeouf has hella receipts saying, no, we did not decide to do this together. You didn't fire me. Don't use my bad name to make your press sound better. And then Florence Pugh's been like, I'm not doing press in this film. I'm not coming to the press conference. I'll show up for the premiere. So there's just been nothing. And then today was the press conference, and it's just shots of Chris Pine.
I was going to say, so I didn't know what this was. I just saw this morning. And there's no context. It was just somebody that tweeted, and the tweet I saw was, I can't believe this is real. And that's all the context there was. It is a close-up of just Chris Pine, who's not the one talking.
It's Harry Styles talking next to Chris Pine.
That's who
Harry
it is
Styles.
who's talking. And whoever is talking says, what I love about this movie is that it's like a real movie.
And
it's
why
like
you go to the movies.
It's like when you go to the movie and you're like, I'm at the movies and
I love Harry Styles. You know I love Harry Styles.
I don't know that.
I'm a huge Harry. I want to like.
You're a huge.
They're called
Harry?
the Harrys, like the fandom.
That is the shittiest name for fans. The Harrys.
The Harrys.
Is it supposed to be spelled like you're Harry, like H-A-I?
No, it's Harries. I'm a big Harry Styles fan. I'm sorry for their nomenclature.
Why not call themselves Styles?
It's right there.
Or stylish, the stylish.
Anything but Harry's, perhaps.
I'm a Harry.
It's not great. Anyway, I love his music.
I prefer the Hendersons.
I love his concerts. I love the way he like helps people at concerts. I'm like, my TikTok is largely Harry Styles because I always watch them through, and that algorithm like.
Oh, you mean like when
I scroll, like not me posting, but like when you stay on a video, it feeds you more of that video.
Okay,
that's how the algorithm works on TikTok. Like the longer you watch something, the more it gives you that. So it's very custom.
That's why mine is mostly small animals and forest creatures.
Because you love forest creatures. So like 1 out of every 20 of my videos is a Harry Styles concert clip or like whatever. But then this clip comes out and I'm like, oh no. Like he's not in that world. Like this isn't. And then the Chris Pine is just staring in the middle distance. Chris Pine. So
by
dejected.
the way, this is if you haven't seen it and you want better context, it is Chris Pine's version of the Ben Affleck Batman versus Superman.
100%.
It's the Hello Darkness, my
and it's like
friend.
a minute. It's like a full minute, and that doesn't sound long, but it's long.
It's really long.
So
I did not know.
That's what it's for. Now the problem is that movie comes out in the fall. That's WB's only fall movie. Their only winter movie is Black Adam. The rest of their year is those two projects. That Black Adam poster, and then this giant fuck of nuclear waste that is this press conference. Like Warner Brothers is in a bad spot. They were in a bad spot a month ago. Now they've only got 2 movies to get that taste out of our mouths, and they're these.
Man,
I'm worried, dude.
We're gonna talk about something on the Patreon only pod this week that is so surprising and weird, and I don't want to spoil it or give it anything away. I
don't even know now.
Other than history repeats itself in such unique ways. I watched something that felt like I was watching something modern, but it was from a while ago. Do you mean like is interesting? Anyways,
but I want Warner Brothers to do well because they need to recover in a big way to have they have so many great.
Let's just say again. This is what I'm trying to get at. Like what is it with Warner Brothers constantly finding themselves in problems throughout the years?
And that sucks because they have so many great properties. Like when they do stuff right, like Shazam, like Wonder Woman for the most part, like when they do it right, it's great. Harley Quinn on we both agree on Harley Quinn.
Well, their animated shit has always been their strongest part, but the problem is it has a small audience,
and a lot of their comics are great, but they're in a bad spot. Because I was thinking a month ago when the explosion started, they were in a bad spot, but that was before they moved Shazam, and that was before they shifted and canceled. And I was like, okay, they can survive this. And then I didn't know any of this Don't Worry Darling drama, obviously. And then the Black Adam poster made me go like, oh fuck.
So is Don't Worry Darling? Is it just like a little indie dramedy kind of thing, or
it's
indie
like,
drama?
It's her follow up to
Bookworm? No, Booksmart.
Booksmart. So they put not a ton of money into it, but it's a
studio project.
It looks like a Jordan Peele movie.
Yeah,
it looks like a thriller.
Okay.
But they put some money into it because it's meant to be like her sophomore film, and I maybe
isn't she also
million?
Connected to potentially a spider project?
I think so.
She's doing something potentially for the other team.
Yeah, I think Spider-Woman, because it's not Madam Web, because that's already filming.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, I think Spider-Woman.
But
either way, I wonder if that's
going to
change.
that.
So yeah, it's been a very dramatic run for Don't Worry.
Well, let's go from bad press conference and train wreck to good press conference and not train wreck. I don't know if it's on your news, but we just need to acknowledge the glory that is Brendan Fraser's.
I was going to end with that
standing ovation for the whale.
Yep.
And then the press conference with Aronofsky. Aronofsky talks about why the whale. So in case you haven't seen it, this is the it's being called, I hope sticks, the Renaissance. Brendan Fraser cast in a hard drama by Darren Aronofsky called The Whale, about an obese father trying to connect with his daughter. And Brendan Fraser, they had the premiere at the Venice. What's it called? What's the name or something? 70. It's like whatever the screening was. Where was it? Where was this event?
I thought that was Telluride.
Oh, maybe it is Telluride.
I think it is.
Maybe right. Sorry, I'm.
That's okay.
Shit's in my brain. Yeah. Like because there was like the hashtag is like maybe Telluride 76 or something like that.
That makes
like
sense.
There's a number.
Yeah.
Like, I got you. That makes sense. So, anyways, first off, Brendan gets like an 8-minute standing ovation, and it brings him to tears in the most beautiful way possible. So that video is available. Just go find it. I'm sure.
And he does the most adorable aw shucks kick.
Oh my God. He literally
Someone
doesn't.
sent me that as a GIF and I saved it.
He doesn't even get up out of his seat for the first little bit of it. It's not until I think Darren says like,
and then he does a full body bow.
Yeah.
It's so
he's
precious.
like, get up. And it's so clear. So
it is the Venice International Film Festival.
Oh, so I was right. It was Venice. Okay.
But are Telluride and Venice at the same time?
They must be.
That's crazy.
See, you know what?
You're not wrong.
I get things wrong so often when I try to immediately recall them that I just rescinded to you. I was like, you know what? Koi probably knows.
He's plugged in. I just can't believe Telluride and Venice at the same time. It just seems so strange.
There you go. So I was right. Anyways, in the press conference, Darren Aronofsky talks about how he's been, quote, making this movie for 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
It's taken him 10 years to make. It's an important movie. He really wants to tell a story. It was really big to him. He says that the thing that held it up for a decade was exclusively casting, was exclusively the lead actor.
Yeah.
He said that he saw, read, and considered literally every single major Hollywood star, every working actor that he could possibly imagine. He said that there was no limits on every type of actor or like it was just like, we need somebody that when they read this role, we believe it. And he is such a stickler for the casting that it was never, and he didn't specifically say names, but he kind of alluded to the every A-list person who's popular or non-popular in a given year. So I'm imagining he went from the tops and bottoms.
Yeah. The Chris's.
Every Chris.
All the
Jims
was in the room.
All the Chris's, all the Jims and Jameses.
A lot of Toms.
So many Johns. So he was watching a movie, I think, and he said that there was a trailer before it for this indie Brazilian movie.
Mm.
And the footage is mostly a close up of Aronofsky, and it's clear that Brendan is to Aronofsky's right. He says, Brazilian, I believe it was Brazilian, was it? And he leans over and you can hear timidly Brendan, who's just God, he's just the fucking best. Just say yeah. It was very quiet. And he was it's this no budget Brazilian movie that Brendan has this tiny part in, and he pops up on screen for just a moment. And he says it clicked. And so I can't remember who his partner is. Is it Max? The guy that's his producing partner.
I can't remember. I don't know that.
Let's call him Max.
Sure.
For all I know, it's for context. He says, so it clicked on me. So I immediately call up Max and I'm like, listen, Brendan Fraser. And Max was like, what? Really? And was sort of I don't know. So he says he called Brendan Fraser in to have a meeting. And the more that they talk, the more it's just everything is falling into place. It just makes so much sense. And he just starts to love Brendan. He's just this is the best meeting. It's so good. For the first time in a decade, I am confident in this.
That's
and he says, so then we send him off. We take another meeting. I take another meeting. He says, I just started meeting with Brendan Fraser regularly.
Yeah.
Talking about this and just talking about whatever. And then in an attempt to convince, let's call him Max, I don't remember who his producing partner is. He's like, let's do a reading. We already had the young woman who, by the way, Aronofsky says is my favorite working new actor.
Yeah.
He loves her. Yeah.
Lillis?
something like that.
Yeah, I think so. I think she's from Stranger Things. Let me look if I place that correctly.
But he says we already had her. He was like, so let's do a reading, and we'll have everybody just come together and we'll just do a reading. And he says that Brendan showed up. They sat down for a reading. The second that they started, it was the first time that it felt real. He's like, this is the first time that I've heard these words and it felt legitimate. And he tried to look over to make eye contact with Max and like get some sort of acknowledgement from him. But Max could not take his eyes off of Brendan Fraser and the read, that he could not for the length of it. He couldn't look over and get an affirming nod, because that's incredible. That's how captivating they were. I loved hearing that story. I love how much Aronofsky.
Sadie Sink is the actress, and she is from Stranger Things. Sophia Lillis is from It, but they both are horror.
Yeah, Sadie's. I knew that it was an S, but I didn't think it was Sophie. So, anyways, The Whale. I can't wait to see it. Darren Aronofsky is such a hit or miss with me as far as like,
but always leaves an impact. Even when I don't like his movies, I feel
he doesn't make a bad movie. There are some movies I think he struggles with doing an impression of himself. Like, I'm one of the few people who thought Black Swan felt like he was trying to out Aronofsky.
See, I like Black Swan, but I thought Mother he was trying to out Aronofsky.
I didn't see that one yet. Okay. I didn't see that Mother yet. But The Wrestler is one of my favorites.
Requiem for a Dream and Fountain are two of the best movies ever made, in my opinion.
Life of Pi. I mean, he's just incredible. Not Life of Pi. I said Life of Pi.
I think Noah's one of the worst. Noah's a very bad movie.
So anyways.
He's almost exactly 50-50 for me. That's interesting. But I feel so strongly about all of his films. Like, I aggressively dislike Noah, and I aggressively love The Fountain and Requiem.
I loved Noah. I thought
really?
I thought that it was so surprising to me. Like, it was not at all what I was expecting. And I think when something circumvents your expectations, you're a little bit kinder on it.
That was Black Swan for me.
Because it was surprising.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, I did not know this is what I was getting. Yeah. I thought I was getting something religious.
Right.
Which it wasn't. Noah is the most unreligious Bible movie you'll ever watch.
Yeah, it's almost sacrilegious. I'm very excited for this experience for Brendan Fraser. And I also, to tie actually sadly into the last story we just had, it would have been so cool to have Brendan Fraser come back in a comic book movie and then an indie film in the same year. Because Batgirl, he was the villain, and his birthday was on the Batgirl set. The first day of filming for Batgirl was Brendan Fraser's birthday.
Interesting.
So there's a ton of behind-the-scenes photos of them celebrating his birthday, and now I'm like, fuck.
Well, he is. I mean, I know it's not nearly as popular as Batgirl might have been or big, but is Doom Patrol? Sure. Is like a big.
But like, how many people get the same year indie and blockbuster superhero film? Like, it happens, but not often.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see The Whale. I think that Brendan is obviously, he's just one of the most charismatic guys. I think his story is heartbreaking, and how he was essentially exiled from Hollywood for being honest and being true to himself as a victim. And it's one of those feel good, like, not everything is awful sort of like things in the art world where it's good
to see happiness and good people.
It's like
rewarded.
Somebody who like, this dude deserves this shit.
And then some. He's had a fucking run.
And I asked Alexandra because I wasn't sure in The Whale whether or not he did gain all of that weight.
Yeah, it's apparently
or if it's
600-pound fat suit. There's a fat suit.
So it is a suit.
Yeah, because he's large, but he's not.
Oh yeah, I know. That's what I said. The images are but it looks so realistic.
Incredible. Prosthetics and work.
So I was curious whether or not he did indeed gain a bunch of weight, but Alexandra said that he did gain a bunch of weight for another role.
Yes, but not, and then they added to that because it's based on a true story. I think.
Yeah, I think so.
The person was like prohibitively large.
Oh no, it was like one of those.
Because I've been seeing part of the internet fucking being exhausting is people been like, I hate fat suits, but I'm excited for Brendan Fraser, but they shouldn't have made a movie about a 600-pound person making fun of them. I was like, so you want representation, but you don't want this person's story told.
You also don't know
anything fucking
context.
About it.
Yeah. It's a story of like beauty and redemption.
Right. So perhaps they need that as part of the story.
Sure.
Like, I just fuck the internet.
Anyways, that's a weird thing.
And it was like trend. That was part of the conversation. Like, it's already exhausting. Like, and I'm like, fuck, I want to see this movie, but I don't want to deal with the discourse already.
Right. Yeah. That's absurd. Also, I don't like, what's the alternative? What's the production?
If you need the story told and it's a positive. Yeah. Like, if this is about body positivity and the story is about a good thing, like how are you shitting on it preemptively? Also,
I'm going to stop talking because I feel like I have preconceived notions of the story, and maybe that's not the case.
I don't know anything about it.
I'm jumping to conclusions in my head. Anyways, it doesn't matter. Fucking can't wait. Brendan
Can't
Fraser's
wait.
the best.
Excited for Brendan Fraser.
And
Mummy is still slept on, even though it's well loved.
I want the Renaissance to become back in full effect.
I want the world
also,
for Fraser.
I just want I want Brendan Fraser's. We talked about there's that movie $20 or $20 bill or $20 called $20, which is this anthology movie that I saw on Amazon a couple months back. I told you about it on our POP, and he's got a it's an anthology, so there's no lead, but I would argue he was the lead if there was one. You know, him and one or two other people, and he's the dude is just so insanely charming and funny.
Yeah,
and I feel like there's so many movies. There's no reason why he isn't in the same shit that Steve Carell is in.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even though he's not from that same Second City.
But I can't wait for him to be back in that circle.
IO comedy world. He's still he has that level. And the reality
and comedy.
But also the reality is that now, considering that many people consider him the OG himbo, right? Now that he is an older guy and he's a little bit bigger and he's not he can play a more average guy. It was harder to believe him as the everyman when he was shredded and he looked like George of the Jungle. You know what I mean? Where you're but now that he is just kind of an ordinary dude, he can play those characters.
That's why I was so excited for Firefly or Fire. Fuck, I forget the villain's name, but in Batgirl.
Yeah,
because I would buy that. I wouldn't buy Brendan Fraser, George of the Jungle as a dejected arsonist. But this guy,
you're right,
and I wanted to see that.
Yeah.
I've been very upset about Batgirl. I think it took a while for me to believe it was actually gone. Now I'm like, what the fuck? Now it's real. I'm like, a J.K. Simmons, Brendan Fraser movie with Michael Keaton's not seeing the light of day. What the fuck?
It's insane.
Well, let's get into some comics because I spent the larger part of this week reading comics in front of my AC. I caught up on 4 weeks of books. I am 4 comics away from being up to date on August 31st comics. But since I am not there yet, I cannot tell you my favorites because one of those 4 might have made the cut. So let's go all the way back. Last time we recorded, I gave you my 2 end of July. This is all of August. August 3rd, starting with the first week of August. My favorite books were Batman 126, Batman Killing Time number 6. That completes the Tom King miniseries. It is a 6-issue miniseries. Loved the button at the end. Love how it concluded. That isn't always the case. Highly recommend that miniseries. Batman White Knight Red Hood. I talk a lot about the White Knight imprint. Red Hood is a new side mission in that imprint. It's only 2 issues, but it does tie into the greater White Knight world. And then the first of that list was Batman 126, which might as well be a number 1 because it is a new creative team and a new arc. So you can really pick up 126 as a number 1. It's Chip Zdarsky, who I've talked about a lot at Marvel. He's one of my favorite Spider-Man and Daredevil writers. Now he's at DC as well. So really great week for Batman, the beginning of August. Closet number 3 is a tiny miniseries, only 3 issues from James Tynion. You might recognize that name from everything from Something is Killing the Children, House of Slaughter, and Department of Truth. He's one of my favorite writers. He's doing incredible work. This is a 3-issue miniseries. It's a lot of talking, and it's really hard to pace a comic that is 2 people talking. It's almost Kevin Smith-esque in that the frames of the artist are even simplistic. It's by nature simple and it's riveting.
Right.
And usually when comics are dialogue heavy, the artist is going crazy and instead they're it's a 2-shot.
It's also that there's that one of my favorite frames from Invincible where I think they're at a convention and there's the customer talking to an artist who does something and it's all about sometimes artists will just use the same frame to save on artwork during a conversation, and it's using the same exact image each time. And I feel like when stuff is dialogue heavy,
sometimes the artist,
it's really hard for the artist to avoid that,
right?
And make a book that isn't that should have just been a novel,
right?
That should have just been
we didn't need pictures. Shows when it's an exception. This is a really special little miniseries.
I love that.
It's called Closet. So basically, there's a kid who's afraid of his closet because of a monster. And the entire time, the dad is having a conversation. And then by the end, that all ties together in a really scary, beautiful way. It's like a horror comic. And then we've got Immortal X-Men number 5, Iron Man 22, Legion of X 4, Poison Ivy 3, and Scumbag 14. This concludes Scumbag. Scumbag is now over. It's the end of the series of Scumbag. I've talked about it a few times. It is basically a Hunter-esque Thompson flavored Rick Remender book.
Hunter-esque Thompson?
Hunter-esque Thompson, which is when things are Hunter S. Thompson-esque. Hunter-esque Thompson. Hunter S. Thompson-esque book that is basically, imagine if the homeless, aggressive, this isn't to disparage homeless people, but the really aggressive meth head that comes at you there are very peaceful, unhoused people, but they're also very angry and aggressive and
mentally
unwell folk. Imagine if that guy got the powers of Superman and how fucked we'd be. And the government has to basically hire this guy because they only had one dose of this serum and they've got to save the world, but they've got to rely on the shittiest person on the planet.
So a more interesting version of that movie, Hancock.
The most interesting version of that movie, Hancock. And instead of it just being about like dick jokes and like, oh, this one note, oh, what if, it's a commentary on how the far left and the far right are both fucking us. And it's a very politically driven book. And it lands with a lot of fascinating commentary on tribalism and how we're screwing ourselves no matter where you fall on the political spectrum. We need to like figure our shit out. So it's a really fascinating book. I really dug it. So it ends at issue 14. So it's a very approachable book. You only have to read like basically one big trade. And then the next week, August 10th, we got Amazing Spider-Man number 7. This might be the most improved book. Did not like issue 1 and 2, and it's getting a lot better. It's still not great, but the art is so good that I'm forgiving a lot of the things that are like, that wouldn't happen. Like Spider-Man doesn't quite feel like Spidey yet, but I'm loving the classic Spider-Man art so much that I'm like, this should be a C, but it's John Romita Jr., and I'm so happy to see this again.
Right.
So I feel myself fighting my Spidey self, going like, but it's not Spider-Man, but it's so pretty. This book leaves me torn every week, but it made the cut. Axe Judgment Day. This is a big event series with the Eternals versus the X-Men. We've seen a lot of Inhumans versus X-Men.
Interesting.
This is Eternals versus X-Men, which is a really fun scope of book. We got Black Panther number 8, a big old geopolitical book, a lot of commentary on what it means to be a king versus what it means to be a politician. Ghost Rider Vengeance Forever 1 is a one-shot dealing with our Johnny Blaze getting a lot of tattoos that represent his journey, and it's a fun commentary on like what tattoos mean to a person and vengeance and stuff. It's a cool little oneer. We've got Gwen Stacy Giant Size number 1, which is a collection of a really cool miniseries from a few years back as a single issue. Killlock Artisan Wraith number 6 concludes the Artisan Wraith storyline. Miss Marvel Wolverine number 1 continues this Miss Marvel team up series. This is all basically it's a Miss Marvel team up, but they're calling it Miss Marvel Moon Knight, Miss Marvel Wolverine, but it continues each story.
Right. Okay.
So
they're not. It's not like Civil War where they're happening congruently.
It's like a 1, 2, 3, 4. They're just calling them all number 1s.
Got it.
But they're fun.
That's annoying.
It is. It's hard to collect, and it throws off my categorization series.
Call it
Miss Marvel Team Up 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, Miss Marvel Team Up 1, Moon Knight. Miss Marvel Team Up 2.
Instead, it's Miss Marvel Wolverine 1, Miss Marvel Moon Knight 1.
Oh, that's tough.
It's real hard to sort.
Yeah, how do you know whether or not you're reading
what order?
Out of order?
My Excel spreadsheet is fucked.
Is it supposed to be like you can read it in any order?
No, they're in order.
Oh.
They lead into each other.
Oh boy.
Predator number 1. I love that Fox and Marvel have finally solved all the Dark Horse rights issues because Marvel is pointing out some great stuff. Their Alien series has been solid. Now their Predator debut is really strong. This number 1 is great, especially if you're a Predator fan. Then we've got Punisher number 5. This book has been riveting and the art has been incredible the whole time. Highly recommend this Punisher run. All right, over to the third week, August 17th. We've got, I think, the best book of the year, Hard Stop. This is maybe my favorite issue of the year.
High praise.
It is a single issue. That's all you need to read. That is the entirety of it. And what it is a commentary and a continuation-ish of The Killing Joke. So The Killing Joke had this commentary on Batman being one bad day away from being the Joker.
Right.
So what DC's doing is a series called One Bad Day of what if Batman...
If it had happened.
Yeah. So it's 5 issues with 5 villains, and they're all one bad day. So Batman losing his shit one bad day.
Interesting.
And this one is my favorite modern Batman writer, Tom King, teaming up with Mitch Gerads. That duo did Mr. Miracle. So it's that duo on fucking Batman, and it's the most I've ever liked Riddler. It is a fascinating Riddler issue.
Interesting.
It's literally like 50 pages. It's a big old comic, but it's my favorite Riddler. It's one of my favorite Batmans. It's a detective story. It is super cat and mouse. You're trying to figure out who you're even rooting for because Riddler's so smart. It is fucking riveting.
Also, if Batman is kind of a dick, if it's a bad day,
so like the whole time, like I haven't been so enthralled in a comic that like I put my phone on Do Not Disturb because people kept texting me and I was like, no, let me engage.
Trying to pay attention.
It was so fucking good. A+ issue. Highly recommend it. I don't give A+ a lot. Batman the Night number 8 continues that Chip Zdarsky miniseries that deals with his year 1 stuff. Black Adam number 3, didn't love 1 and 2. Number 3 got me. I'm going to see where this book goes. Daredevil number 2, Chip Zdarsky, they relaunched his book. It's still the same continuity, but they called it number 1 like they used to in the 90s. Drives me crazy. It's the Daredevil I've been talking about forever, but now it's number 2. Very frustrating. They didn't learn lessons. Miss Marvel Moon Knight #1, continuing Miss Marvel Wolverine from last week. Nightwing 95. I've been talking about this book forever. I don't need to describe it, but know that Nightwing still fucking slaps. Seven Sons #3. Silver Coin 13 is maybe the most graphic comic I've read in years. Silver Coin is an anthology book where a lot of the biggest horror writers just take a one-off, and they basically, there's a coin that travels through time and space, and basically this coin is haunted, and anytime someone interacts with this coin, horrible things happen. So it's a really cool MacGuffin.
It's a horror version of what I was just talking about, that movie $20, where it's an anthology about this $20 bill that just goes around people. That just goes around the city.
So that's just really cool. Like the silver coin is the only thing that connects any of these issues.
Yeah, that's cool.
And it's a really cool way for a lot of writers and artists to like just get into some gritty. And then X-Force #30 is very Deadpool heavy, and I talk about it all the time, but I miss Deadpool in a weekly book, so it's my little taste of Deadpool. Makes me happy. Then my last week to pull from is the 24th. We've got Captain America Symbol of Truth #4, Deadly Class 55. So it is ending at 56. This is the penultimate issue of Deadly Class. Highly recommend Deadly Class. I would read from the beginning, but 55 is a hell of an issue. It deals with basically our lead character time jumps to modern day. This book started in the 80s. This book, Deadly Class, talks about like Reagan youth and how Reagan is the, proto-Trump. Reagan basically fucked this country over to such an irreparable level that we're still dealing with ramifications. Sure. And this book handles that beautifully in showing the seeds of where we are today.
Right.
But what's cool is now that we've planted those seeds for like 50 issues, it has always jumped around time, but this is the first time it's like 2022.
Interesting.
So now we've got the lead in our present day, and we've seen what he dealt with in the 80s. And this is that book that's basically if Harry Potter was an assassin school.
Right.
They made that show out of it that was canceled. Yeah. So this jumps to our present day, but the whole fucking book feels like now it's Rick Remender going through therapy. The writer basically being like, this is how I feel about the world. This is how the character feels about the world. Did I sell out? Am I a sellout? I was so punk in the 80s. What is it to be a modern day punk that sold out? So it's this really, really midlife crisis. Like, is it okay to be happy when I see all these failings?
Right.
And this book keeps fucking hitting me because I'm going through all this right now in my life of like, I talk about shit I love for a living, but all I get to do in my life is talk about the shit I love. Do I still love this stuff if it's become my life?
Right, of course.
And this book, I mean, maybe I'm loving it so much because it's so personal, but holy fuck, this issue, I cried twice. Like, I read it, didn't know if it was impacting me just because of my birthday coming up, and then read it again and cried again. I was like, okay, fuck, this is incredible.
Yeah.
So
I love that it was like a scientific experiment. You needed a control.
I had to know.
You were like, I need to have a control read.
Let me check back
to make sure. Yeah.
Is this emotionality or really this good? So highly recommend Deadly Class. Department of Truth #20. I cannot get over how good this book still is 2 years in. I Hate This Place #4. Pearl 3 #4. Public Domain #3. Radiant Black 17. Rogues Gallery #2. And Tales of the Human Target #1. That last week of books, a lot of those are absolutely incredible. So check out some indies like Pearl, Public Domain, Rogues Gallery. There's a lot of really cool stuff coming that aren't just Capes books. In fact, Public Domain is about basically an artist that was drawing a comic in the 60s that got its rights sold, and now he's an old man and finds out that he actually owns the rights to that comic, and they're making all these movies out of it. His kids don't talk to him anymore. He's alone. He's a sad old man, finds out these rights, and he basically just doesn't know if it's worth taking the upfront sum or going into legal stuff to fight for the rights in this comic. And then what's cool is Rogues Gallery is the other side of, we're entering that meta space where comic movies are so popular.
Right.
Rogues Gallery is about an actress who's been on a CW adjacent series for 7 years, who's actually obsessed with the source material, but navigating the fans hating the choices the network's making. And she's trying to rationalize being a fan of something that she's a part of.
That's really meta.
It's a lot. So both of those books out the same week, I was like, the fuck? So yeah, if you like meta commentary on the world we're living in, Public Domain is about the comic side, Rogues Gallery is about the TV side, and they're both very fucking good. That is going to do it for a hell of a lot of recommendations. I did a lot of reading this week. In fact, Robin West Parker, very big friend of the show, much love to Robin, asked me how I retain all the information reading so much and if I take notes. And I basically do take notes in the form of, as soon as I'm done with the issue, I write down how I felt. I write down like a sentence of emotionality, and then I write a letter grade, and then I delete what I wrote down so I don't only remember that. So I write it down to like give myself a sketch, and then I write down the letter, and then I want to know if I trust in that letter. I reread the sentence, then I delete the sentence. That's my system, because I don't want to regurgitate.
Yeah, it would be hard for me to read as many individual issues as you are. Like I feel like at some point I would be flipping through a page, and I would be like, I'm seeing the words and the actions, but
it's not easy.
It's nothing is happening in my
Sometimes
brain.
I have to stop,
right,
acknowledge I've wasted that 10 minutes.
Right.
I don't remember it. Do another task has nothing to do with like, because it's a lot of it's on my phone. So like sometimes I just have to separate.
Right.
So like it does happen, and then like
so you're reading them on your phone.
Because I get sent the digital codes from the studios or the publishers.
Right.
So yeah, it's me.
So it sounds to me like for your birthday this month, someone needs to buy you an iPad.
Yeah,
because I feel like
this kills my eye.
I feel like reading, because if they're getting a digital code to read the books, likely you're getting them on a proprietary.
Yeah, it's a PDF.
Yeah. So therefore, I guess you could in theory still have like a Kindle at least.
It's true.
Because that's bigger. It'll be bigger. I read the stuff on my Kindle and I like it. Like, I mean, I don't like it as much as having the book.
Yeah, well, the comics I buy.
I can't. I tried on my phone. I tried. I
don't have the space to buy everything, obviously.
Sure.
And the books I collect, I buy, and I obviously read those hard copy, and that makes me so happy to sit in a park and read.
Sure.
And that's kind of why I like to have the classes. When I get that big book, I can go and like re-experience it. But I can't get everything hard, so the reading them on my phone is the closest I have to space saving, but it's also like it's the biggest phone on the market, but it's still a fucking 6-inch phone.
Sure, yeah. That's a predicament. Somebody needs to team up and get this boy.
If there's any ballers out there, any big koi pond listeners that
here's the thing is you don't need, if you just need it for the reading purposes, you don't even need something you just need something that's Wi-Fi compatible.
Yeah, big screen Wi-Fi.
And it could be old.
Yeah,
could be a refurbished one. I would give you our old one if I thought it would work for more than 3 days. Like we have we have like a second generation iPad.
No shit.
We used to be what we used in studio to use like Skype. And it's just
so close to death's door.
It has to be plugged in order to work. It's that old giant iPad charger.
It's like a full backpack.
It's a lot.
But that said, speaking of birthday. Speaking of things, I did make an updated wish list. If anyone, I know I feel always weird about like asking for shit, but I did make a wish list, and mainly for my family, but also if folks want to get me things. I did have a really cool moment. I've had a weird looking at my life, and I'll talk about this more next week on the hotline call, but looking at like what I have versus what I want. And there's not a lot I want in the world, and that felt really good. So it's not a long list, but it is things that I was like, oh, that'd be nice to make my life better. I don't expect, I'm not asking, but I do appreciate that some people have tweeted me and asked. So I did make a list, and it made me very weird and uncomfortable to make.
People in the Discord have asked as well for your birthday list. So there in the Discord, there has been an updated post that is pinned to the KoiCast thread in the Dragon Wagon Radio Discord that has the Amazon wish list links.
Deadly Class Volume 3 is on there.
By the way, if you're not aware, when you look at an Amazon wish list, you can click a button on the other side, on the like far right corner that says buy elsewhere.
Oh.
So you can, if you want, buy something off of his wish list, mark it as bought elsewhere, and then not, if you want to support your local comic book shop.
That way it gets taken off the list.
Or something, it'll get taken off of the list, and then you can always send it to the Dragon Wagon P.O. box.
Cool.
So if you want to do something that's on the list, but you're like, well, I'd rather not buy something.
That way the list is actually a list, not a buying tool.
And that way, because obviously, like, listen, I'm not going to, we're never going to shade anybody for buying something off of Amazon. You try to be ethical in your consumer as much as possible, but at some point,
ease of use sometimes.
At some point, we're all cogs in this machine, and we need to do the thing that is easiest for us to do sometimes. But with that said, if you did want to send something to the Dragon Wagon Radio P.O. Box, it is P.O. Box 481310, Los Angeles, California 90048. P.O. Box 481310, LA, California 90048. And again, that is also pinned in the Discord, and you can find all that information on the Dragon Wagon Radio website as well.
Also, if you want, they do gift certificates over the phone to House of Secrets and Golden Apple, which are my main two comic shops. Yeah. So if you didn't want to do a specific thing and you just want to be like $5 for 2 comics, I would happily, like, if you just want to do a token of like I appreciate, then gift certificates to comic stores support the comic store and my bad habits. So Golden Apple and House of Secrets are my 2 shops.
Listen, enough giving you crap.
Yeah.
It's time to give something back to the listeners.
It's time. We got to punch a horse or not punch a horse.
It is time to name our September Unpunchable Gift Horse of the month. Kudos to Darth Vadad, who was the, how do months work? August? Yeah, there we go. August gift horse. Will Darth Vadad continue his reign? Continue his reign as the Unpunchable Gift Horse. We are about to find out. If you don't know what the hell this is, if you're a new listener and you're like, what is this silly shit they're talking about? Well, if you go to patreon.com/KoiCast and you become a gift horse tiered patron, you get entered into this monthly contest, the winner of which gets their name and lights on the Discord. You get a specific Discord title. You get a shirt of your choosing for free from dragonwagonshop.com. It could be a shirt for anything. It doesn't necessarily have to be a KoiCast shirt. It could be any sort of shirt. And you get to pick something for Koi and I to add to our watch list for the patron-only pod.
We're now caught up.
And it is, it's just our little way of giving back. The rewards that we give for this, specifically the merchandise, costs more than 1 month of being a gift horse.
True.
So it's not even like, well, I'm just gonna, if I wanted this, I would just go pay for the shirt. You're gonna spend more money on that. So roll the dice. You might as well play the game. You might as well take the gamble. You support the show. Your money goes a really long way in helping us keep the lights on here. And obviously, there's a lot of other fun perks. But I think without further ado, we should see who our gift horse is. What do you say?
Who do we got?
Alrighty.
Spin that wheel. The
wheel is a spinning. And the official unpunchable gift horse for the month of September is, it's tipping over, is Gilbert Short.
Gilbert Short.
Gilbert Short. I believe he is a former unpunchable gift horse. He's once again a two-time unpunchable gift horse.
Defending his title.
The last time he made me watch Fast 5.
Yes, he did.
Which means he made me watch Fast 1 through 5.
Maybe he'll go 9.
If this son of a bitch picks 9,
6, 7, 8, 9.
I'm banning him from the show.
He's not that unpunchable.
Gilbert, congrats and thanks for your continued support. Thanks to everybody who is continuing to be a gift horse. Your money goes a really long way. Koi and I don't have sponsorships on the show. We don't
no ad reads here.
Ad space.
Undies.
The only ads you hear are for other Dragon Wagon shows in which we are also not selling ad space on. Again, your support means the world. And even if you can't quite hack being a gift horse, there are tons of other incredible ways that you can support the show over on the Patreon. That's patreon.com/KoiCast. You could become a name dropper. You could become a maestro. There's tons of bonus stuff there, including our weekly POP, which we are going to go record right now.
I'm very excited about it. Also, we save our ad reads for our own stuff till the end of the show, unlike other podcasts. So people might have already left by now, but you're still here, and we appreciate you. All right, let's POP.
Well, before we POP, we have to do the thing that you just said.
Guys, let's wrap the show. Please do rate and review on Apple Podcasts. Those 5 and sometimes 4, we understand. Just please not a 1. Reviews keep us warm at night. We appreciate them so very much. You can check out KoiCast.com for merch. We got shirts, we got mugs, we got masks, we got everything the body needs. We've also got a Patreon right over on KoiCast.com that has all of those categories we just discussed. There's also the Discord, which is absolutely free. You can jump in the Discord at any point. Just go to the Discord. That's also linked on KoiCast.com. Very easy to find, and there's a great community in there. Check us out on social media. Use hashtag KoiCast to get our attention, or also just tweet at us. I'm at KoiJondro. He's at Jake Lloyd Bacon. And if you want to be a hot and hotline heavy caller, no, that doesn't work with a person in it. Anyway, 818-794-0722 is how to reach us. That's 818-794-0722. Or you can send a voice memo to contact@koicast.com. That is going to do it for this extra long episode. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. And take a shot every time I said fuck this episode. Don't die. Hydrate. Much love. We'll see you next week. Ta-ta.
Hey, my name's Zen Zenith, and if you've ever wanted to hear intimate conversations and performances from amazing musicians such as Tony Thaxton from Motion City Soundtrack, Dressage, or Field Medic, I've got the podcast for you. Check out The House Show with Zen Zenith on Dragon Wagon Radio. The House Show is a concert series wrapped up in the context of a house show in front of a real live audience that we then turn into a podcast for you. You can find it on Dragon Wagon Radio or wherever else good podcasts are found. Check it out, and we'll see you there.
It's Dragon Wagon.